Hello everybody and welcome. I am Andy Pirate and today I'm positively geeking out about my viewers' hangars once again. I know it's been a long time in coming, but I wanted to get my bearings with the rebalance, and we got another rebalance since then. So I'm actually kind of glad that I kind of got all this kind of stuff in the back of my mind now instead of going ahead without it. So let's start here with Jedi Monk 23's Expert 3 hangar. So we've got this Hades, we've got the Quarker, the Nucleon, and Shredder standing in, I assume, because getting another Quarker right now is not something that you can do reliably. I think Spark makes sense as a stand-in. Another thing that you could consider here is Shredder. I know that 2 Shredders is enough to get some pretty reliable effect application that's lockdown, or, you know, 3s and other things with the chips if you involve them. All in all, though, this is a solid build. Definitely something you can work with. Then we have Nightingale with Virginia Walker and Cryos. This makes complete sense, especially if you like get effect chips in there. The effect chips just generally work well with effect weapons. So now we have the Leech, 2 Atomizers, and a Scourge. It makes a lot of sense. And the Corona is a little bit out of sync in terms of its timing. So, and I don't find Corona to be very strong. So that might be a candidate for a replacement here. Then we have the Ardent Blitz. We have 3 Shredders and a Spark. I've run builds pretty similar to this. I do find the Spark lock-on doesn't always work with how fast we want to move around with the Blitz. But so you could consider switching that Spark onto the Hades and bringing in the Quarker instead. But I think this is actually fine. And I think this build is still strong. The Blitz is still pretty strong, even with only 50% resistance. You do have to play it a little bit more cautiously, though. You need to play it a little bit more like you would play a Blitz without Clive, and try to engage with people that you can suppress. But with Shredders, you can suppress just about anyone if you just have a suppressor chip, so not all that hard to acquire either. And last of all, we have the Cerberus. This build is a little bit mixed up. We'll assume for now that the bot is good and usable. It definitely struggles in Champion League, but I think it's a really cool bot. So if it's working for you, definitely stick with it. But I mean, if it's not, definitely worth considering replacing if that's something you want to do. But let's just look at how it's built. The Scourge and the Pulsar and the Glory do kind of want you to do different things. The Scourge is pretty versatile, but the Pulsar and the Glory kind of want you to do different things. One of them wants you to sit back, one of them wants you to get close. The Glory is also pretty much a sustained weapon once you get close, whereas the Pulsar is going to be firing in bursts. I would suggest sending either the Scourge or the Pulsar over to the Leech for the Corona, and then potentially being able to have a Cerberus that brawls a little bit. Or you might just be looking at replacing the Glory with something that works a little bit better at range. But I think Glory is a strong weapon, worthy of keeping around. And that's pretty much my thought. Another possibility would be to put the Glory onto the Hades and bring in the Nucleon over here on the Cerberus. Some things worth trying around with. Playstyle matters a lot, so try these different things, see what works for you. Next here, we're moving up the ranks a little bit into Expert 2, and we have Delta Pilot 3278 hangar right here. Let's have a look. We have the Arthur again. Perfectly reasonable, sensible build for Arthur. Good thing to have. We've got the Glacier Ojun, the Cryo Rocket Nightingale, Leo, Ares, Loki. Again, I think all of these builds make sense, but we're gonna go into a little bit of detail. The Ojun definitely needs to be played more cautiously, but the unload time on the Glaciers does work well with the shorter ability. You just need to be careful about where you're taking off and where you're landing, or you're going to get blown away without the extra stealth. Healing module could potentially help with that. Then we have the Nightingale. It's the same Nightingale build, same weapons. It makes complete sense. It works really well with Nightingale's playstyle. We have the Leo. Leo is the only sort of non-premium bot here, and this is kind of the advice that I give, is that you keep the Leo in your hangar until you have 5 premium bots. So probably going to make sense to replace this Leo at some point, but this is a sensible setup to have for a Leo, especially like in Expert League. Now with the changes to leagues, you might need to replace that before Champions. But it should do you reasonably well if leveled. It's only level 7 in even Masters. Then we've got the Ares. This makes a lot of sense on the Ares because we've got 2 atomizers, a Corker, and a Pin. The Pin has the same effective range as these other weapons. It fires in bursts, which the other weapons do in range, and it's reload while firing, so it doesn't complicate your firing pattern. Obviously, Workshop's not available to produce a Corker. I assume once the Workshop becomes available that you would put a certain priority on getting a Corker for that Ares because Corker's a very strong weapon. So strong, it is probably going to get nerfed eventually, but we're going to see that being multiple months after it comes to the Workshop. So probably reasonable thing to add one of to your hangar after it does become available. Then we have the Loki. I normally not a big fan of aphids, but I've given this advice many times before. The weapons on your Loki don't matter as much as your weapons on your other bots. So I would get some Rhymes or Bredders, or even consider maybe, holding out for the Soundwave weapons that we are having coming eventually to put on this Loki, because you might as well try to get something new for it, something that's less likely to get nerfed soon. And like Halos have already been nerfed. They are still, I think, decent on Loki, especially with chips. And Shudder might get nerfed, so you could just leave the aphids on there until you happen upon something that you find would work well for the Loki. I think Rhyme is actually still good in the right situation, and Loki would probably be the right situation, and they just nerfed it pretty substantially, so we're probably not going to see another Rhyme nerf, so I think putting Rhymes on the Loki would make sense if you have them. But I personally wouldn't be going out of my way to Workshop 3 Rhymes anytime soon. Last of all here, we're moving up again to Master 3, to my clanmate, Doomed Pineapple. Here we've got the Nodens. I run this Nodens build, or very much something like it. The modules are a little bit different. Need some leveling, but whose Titan doesn't need leveling? We could all stand to do with a stronger Titan. Then we've got Mender, sensible build. I think this is basically just like Atomizer Corker is stronger, but this runs in a very similar fashion to that build. It's that you can do some damage out around 500 meters, or in this case, even a little bit further, but you also do more damage close up, but your clip size is pretty small, so you have to be really cautious about getting up really close with this build. That's where the Corker Atomizer tends to shine. It's that it's capable of kind of just like a better version of this build where you can do lots of damage. You can do damage very quickly in a short burst from 500 meters, but you could also just do really good sustained damage up close. But obviously these weapons are not easy to acquire. We've got them down on the Nightingale, where I think that also makes complete sense. Maybe a worthy experiment, but it would require a second Corker to try swapping the weapons between the Nightingale and the Mender, but obviously that Corker is not in the cards, then it's not there, right? Then I'm going to skip the Fenrir for now. Let's talk about this Leech, Terran Leech. I think that's a very good build right now. Terran's, I think, pretty strong, and it's a affordable way to equip a Leech. You can get a decent amount of damage in there. Thomas Mindred, definitely a good pilot to have for the Leech. You can use that speed to maintain the 350 meter range that makes the Terrans that really kind of effective without taking too much damage, but getting close for some of those other brawling weapons. Now, let's look here at the Fenrir and the Scorpion. I don't know, I'm on the record of basically saying that cryos on Fenrir don't make a ton of sense, but I feel like Coronas might make even less sense. I'm pretty down on Coronas overall, but if you use them with effect chips on a Scorpion, then you can do some pretty good stuff. Though it might be worth switching the cryos on the Scorpion onto the Fenrir and the Coronas onto the Scorpion, then you can do really quick burst damage with the Scorpion when you come around behind someone. And the Fenrir has a little bit more depth to its clip and can be effective out to 300 meters. But you have to play that Fenrir differently than you would play a Fenrir that, say, had igniters in its medium slot. And yeah, igniters just got buffed up to where they were supposed to be after the previous rebalance, but they just got buffed. I think if you can bring in a freezer chip, 2 igniters and a glacier makes a ton of sense for a Fenrir. That's pretty much it. Obviously, if those Coronas are working well, if there's some sort of, if you have a Sharpshooter, I guess we can look. We can look to see if he has Sharpshooter Corona. He doesn't have Sharpshooter Corona. So I really do think that there's some potential. Again, yeah, playstyle. Oh, I guess the other thing that you could do, you put those Coronas on the Nightingale and put the Atomizers on the Fenrir. But that's going to be a problem when it comes to the heavy weapon, because you're going to be having a really hard time freezing anyone with the playstyle that the Atomizers would promote. So then you'd be looking to replace that heavy weapon. But the thing is, even a Thunder would actually jive reasonably well with the Atomizer. You're going to do some damage with the Thunder at 500 meters, and if people get close, Thunder still has a decent sustained damage relative to its burst damage, so you could actually do some decent things, and Thunder is really easy to level. A lot stronger than it used to be. It just is. That's some things to try. Like, I'm going to just repeat myself and say, playstyle matters. If something's not working for you, that's more important than what I say. And if you try something that I suggest and it doesn't work for you, give it several games. But if it's not working for you, just because I recommend it, just because it has a certain internal logic, doesn't mean it's going to be the perfect build for you. For now, though, thank you all for watching. I hope you guys can put some of this advice to use, even those of you who, were not featured in this video. And check the link down below, or I think I might be able to put it over here, to the Discord. Give me your IDs or hangar screenshots, and I'll be able to I'm going to start doing this kind of video more often now. And don't forget, hit like, hit subscribe, turn on notifications. Channel's been growing really well. I think I might be able to have some good stuff for you guys before too much longer, so keep supporting me if you want the good stuff to keep rolling. For now, though, I'm Andy Pirate, wishing you a good day, wishing you luck in your battles, and signing off.